Welcome back to another class on Dalet Amot Shel Halacha. Ein lo Kadosh Baruch Hu be'olamo ela arba amot shel halacha bilvad. We are still working in the sefer called Halacha Birur by Rabbi David Yosef Shlita. We are in the Chazara program. This will be part 5 of the shiur. Today we want to speak about beginning the third meal during twilight. ראוי ונכון להיזהר להתחיל סעודה שלישית קודם שקיעת החמה. It is proper and correct for one to be careful to begin the third meal before the sun sets. ומכל מקום, and nevertheless, אם יתאחר עד שקיעת החמה, if a person postponed until sunset, יתחיל לאכול בזמן בין השמשות. He should begin to eat the third meal during twilight. Dahainu, which means to say, עד כ-3:30 דקות אחר שקיעת החמה. You have until after sunset, about 13.5 minutes, until when the stars are going to come out. ולא יבטל מצוות סעודה שלישית מחמת שכבר שקעה החמה. And do not nullify the mitzvah of having the third meal because the sun already set. Comes Rav David Yosef Shlita and he tells us like this: the best way to do Sudah Shalishit is before sunset. A person for whatever reason wasn't able to do the Sudah Shalishit before sunset, do it after sunset. How long do you have after sunset? You have exactly 13.5 minutes after sunset. And after that, you're no longer allowed to eat. However, Rav David Yosef Shlita does mention that just because it's already after sunset, do not nullify the mitzvah of Sudah Shalishit. So therefore, he's telling you that you are even allowed to go ahead and eat the third meal during the twilight period, which is between sunset and when the 3 stars come out. Continues Rav David Yosef and he says, "Ve'av kishematchil lechol Sudah Shalishit samach l'shkiat hachama." Even when you begin to eat the meal, the third meal, close to sunset, or afilu achar shkiat hakama, or even after sunset, rashay lechol yoter mikebeitza pat. You're allowed to eat more than 56 or 58 grams of bread. Ve'af api she'asur latchil lechol suda keva hachal mechetzi sha'a kodem zman tzeit hakohavim. Even though halachically it is forbidden for a person to begin on a regular weekday to eat a bread meal 30 minutes before the 3 stars come out, shehuzman kri shema v'tifilat aravit, which is the time for reciting Shema and davening the Shemona Esrei. Mikol makom, nevertheless, le'inyan achilat su'udah shelishit yesh lakel. Nevertheless, when it comes to the matter of having the third meal, one can be lenient. Why? One can be lenient. And so too, the minhag is to be lenient in this. What is the reason? Because we rely on the fact that besides that we are accustomed to going to shul and to recite the Kriya Shema and to daven Shemona Esrei with a congregation, Gam Sudah Shalishit hi mitzvah overet. You have another reason why you're allowed to start your third meal within the 30 minutes close to Kriya Shema, because the third meal is a passing mitzvah. Ve'im lo yochal ata yafsid mitzvah, because if you're not going to eat now, you're going to lose out on the mitzvah. So comes Rav David Yosef Shlita over here and he tells us like this: that whether you began the Sudah Shalishit before sunset, or even after sunset during the twilight period, you are allowed to eat more than a kibetza of bread. Why did he have to bring this down? Because the halacha says on a regular weekday, let's say 6 o'clock is when the stars come out, and now you come home at 5:30, and your wife wants to serve you a sandwich at 5:35. Are you allowed to eat that sandwich without first saying Shema? You're not allowed, Rabotai. It is asur. So comes Rav David Yosef Shlita and he says, even though the before sunset time or after the sunset time, when you're beginning to eat the third meal, you are within the 30 minutes, meaning you are in the 30 minutes, which is close to the time when you have to say Kriya Shema. Nevertheless, we're going to allow you to eat more than a kibetza, more than 56 or 58 grams. Why is that? He gives us two reasons why the custom is to be lenient. Number one, we are accustomed on Shabbat to go to shul to daven there the Kriya Shema and the Shemona Esrei, and we do it with the congregation. So that's reason number one. Besides this reason, he says you have another thing that's going to allow you to continue eating within the 30 minutes close to the Zman of Kriya Shema, which is what? Because the third meal, it's a pass-buying mitzvah. If I'm not going to do it now, when am I going to do it? So therefore, Rabotai, we see over here that on Shabbat we have an exception. That when a person is eating the third meal and it's within the 30 minutes close to the time of the Kriya Shema, you're allowed to eat not only a tzeit, which is even on a regular day you're allowed to eat, but you are even allowed to eat more than a kibetza, which on a regular weekday we wouldn't allow you because you have to say Shema. On Shabbat we're going to allow you for two reasons. One is you're going to go daven in shul. Two, the mitzvah, the third meal, it's a pass-buying mitzvah. If I'm not going to do it now, when am I going to do it? Continues Rav David Yosef Shluta, and he says, "V'yesh lahakel b'zeh afilu im lo achal kazayit pad kodem shkid hakama." You could be lenient in this, in continue to have more than a kibetza, even if you didn't begin eating a kazayit of pat before sunset. V'ikar achilat suuda shelishid hu bezman ben hashmashot or achar tzeit hakohavim. Your main meal, you start eating the kazayit of bread or more during the twilight period or even after when the stars came out. As long as you washed your hands and you said the bracha of Amot Shel Halacha, even if you didn't put it in your mouth, doesn't matter. Once you said the bracha of Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Amot Shel Halacha, and now the time from Shkia went into twilight, or from twilight it went into tzeit hakohavim, we're going to allow you to continue having the bread. You're allowed to have more than 56 or 58 grams. Umikayem b'zeh mitzvah suuda shelishit, and you fulfill with this the third meal. You fulfill with this the mitzvah of the third meal. However, he says over here, what happens if you began to eat? What happens if you began to eat after once the stars came out? If you began to eat after when the stars came out, and you remembered that you still didn't do havdalah on a cup of wine, you have to stop immediately. After 13 and a half minutes after sunset, 13 and a half seasonal minutes after sunset, you are no longer allowed to begin the third meal. If you began and you didn't do havdalah, you have to stop your meal immediately. And you have to go ahead and do havdalah on a cup of wine in order to allow you to continue to eat. And so too, if you began to eat after once the stars came out, and you remembered and you remembered that you still did not recite the Kriya Shema and you didn't daven the Shemona Esrei prayer, you need to stop immediately and you need to recite the Kriya Shema and you have to daven Shemona Esrei. Fine. He says, look on top, which we're not going to get into this today, but he says, look on top in Siman Reish Lamed Hey, in Halacha Yud Aleph, where he speaks about over there, what happens if this happened on a regular weekday, what the halacha is going to be. What we see today over here is like this, that if a person began eating the third meal after tzeit hakohavim, after 13 and a half seasonal minutes after sunset, if you began eating the bread meal there, we're going to tell you have to stop and do havdalah and daven Shemona Esrei and say the Kriya Shema. And with this in the Mishabur and the Bir Halacha, the best thing to do is to first say Kriya Shema, Shemona Esrei, and then Havdalah. So we're going to, Rabotai, conclude with this. Let's just go over the halachot that we saw today. The few halachot that we saw today. 1 second. So first halacha we saw that the best way to do the mitzvah of Sudah Shalishit is starting before sunset. If you weren't able to do it before sunset, you can even do it after sunset and you have 13 and a half seasonal minutes. But after that, you're not allowed to eat. That was halacha number 1. And he said you shouldn't nullify the mitzvah of the third meal just because you are in the twilight period. Then we saw the next halacha. Rav David Yosef Shlita said that even if you're beginning the third meal before sunset or even after sunset, and you are within the 30 minutes close to Kriya Shema, you are allowed to have more than a kibbutza, because we gave 2 reasons. Reason number 1, we are accustomed to davening in shul, so we're going to go to shul, say the Shema, and daven the Shemona Esrei with the congregation. But besides that reason, Sudah Shalishit, you could be lenient by eating it within the 30 minutes close to the Kriya Shema time, is because the third meal is a pass-buying mitzvah. Since it's a pass-buying mitzvah, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? But on a regular weekday, you're not allowed to have a bread meal within 30 minutes close to Kriya Shema if you did not say Shema. Alright, Rabotai, we went over this in the halachot as we were doing it, not in the review, but in the Mishnah Berurah and the Shulchan Aruch. And last but not least, we saw what happens if a person began eating the third meal after tzeit hakohavim. Rav David Yosef said that you have to stop immediately to do the Havdalah on the cup of wine, and you also have to say the Kriya Shema and daven Shemona Esrei. Rabotai, have a great day. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen ve'amen.